So what about the particle nature of liquids? So the particles of a liquid are much closer together compared to a gas. Okay, so you can see that there's very little space between each of these particles. Okay. Now, they're still free to move, like each of these particles is allowed to move wherever they want, but because they're so close together, they're likely to collide with other particles in a very short time. If you're a gas particle, you could spend a long time traveling before you hit anything. But because you're so close together in a liquid, you're very likely to hit something very, very rapidly. They collide more frequently, so they don't have as much freedom to move as in a gas, but they still are allowed to move, and that's the key. So the lack of space makes liquids almost incompressible. Okay, so water is often considered an incompressible liquid. It is slightly compressible, but not by a lot. So as you can see in our animation here, each of these particles is happy to move and collide with things, but the motion is much slower. They can't get around as quickly because they're kind of locked together. So the liquid doesn't move as much. And so it doesn't really exert pressure per se on this container because its movement is so slow. Okay? Yeah. So high pressure water jets are often used for precision machining as a means of cutting through materials like steel. Describe the property of water that facilitates this application. So essentially, we use water to cut through steel to make very, very precision objects. So water is a liquid, obviously, we know this. Since liquids have closely arranged particles, the liquid is essentially incompressible. So there is a slight amount of compressibility, but it's very, very small. So when a high pressure jet comes into contact with steel, it cuts through the steel, since the incompressibility of the water and the pressure of the jet overcome the bonds in the steel. Okay, so the pressure of the jet actually forces the water through the steel and essentially cuts through the steel. And that allows the water jet to cut through the steel. Okay, so it's a very, very cool application of water jets that you can cut steel with them. So it's a very impressive use of water.